I'm so glad to be here tonight. I'm going to try to use one of these. This is my first time with a boom mic. I was here, I gave a concert in 2010, and I had such a good time, and I'm so glad you all have invited me back. I know so many of you, so this is a real treat for me, and I'm so proud of what the Laurel Lake Music Society has done for young people in our community. It truly is amazing. So you all are to be congratulated, and you've put wonderful artists here on the stage, so it's just a real win-win, I think. This program, these are some of my favorite pieces, and I really do travel in my own mind when I play them. So they all have something in common where the composers are taking me to another place. So I sure hope that you can go with me and feel some of that same feeling of adventure or exoticness or things that make foreign lands so different, but also what is common to all of us that makes us feel human. The Beethoven Sonata I will play, this is an early one, and it is rather pastoral. You may know his Sixth Symphony. It is entitled the Pastoral Symphony, and that's truly programmatic. Beethoven wants you to hear the animals and the people having a good time. He wants you to hear the wagon carts and all of that. Very programmatic, but this sonata was written 10 years earlier. It's in the same key, which I think is interesting. But you will hear, and I do hear birds and all kinds of things, but it's not overtly programmatic. Beethoven is really letting nature bring out what is in his mind, what feelings that he's feeling, his innermost thoughts. So right away, we do have a little bird at the beginning, of course. That little bird. And then immediately after, I feel like he's feeling the warmth of the sun. He just feels so good to be outside. Beethoven loved being in nature so much. He did not get along with people very well at all. He was always putting his foot in his mouth, even turning his best friends against him sometimes. But out in nature, he could be creative. He felt closest to God. He felt calmer. He took his sketchbooks out and did a lot of composing outside and spent a great deal of time out in the countryside around Vienna and in the small towns outside of Vienna in the summertime. So the outdoors was very, very significant to him. Then you will have a storm. There's always a storm with wind. Mm-hmm. And when that has passed, then my favorite, the Pa band, it's Austria. And that comes back quite in a big way in the last movement. Then the development section starts, I think it's little raindrops. Then the birds come back, okay, and we hear the beginning again. But it's not really the beginning because it's in the wrong key. So it's like Beethoven's trying to find I haven't found the path home yet. This has got to be it. And finally, the bird helps him. And he's back home in F major, and everything's okay. The slow movement is darker and ominous. Maybe clouds have come over and a storm is approaching. It sounds to me like he has stumbled upon a graveyard that he didn't know was there. So darker, which is very typical for his slow movements. He gets a lot more introspective, and he was a man full of anxieties. So slow movements, you can get in there and express them. The last movement is really why I learned this sonata. I've always loved it because it truly is the Pa band. And I think of Stan Howell every time I play this because I know how much fun he had. But Beethoven is literally imitating wind instruments, that you would see in a village square. You've got the tuba, the oboe, the clarinet, and he puts it in the form of a fugue. Can you imagine? Fugues are very German, and we don't think of them as fun. I don't. So you have so much gaiety in a fugal form. Okay, so the whole movement just it's wonderfully, wonderfully happy. So I think you will really enjoy this. Now we're going to travel in someone's mind. I dare not put words into Chopin's mouth. This is one of my favorite nocturnes. And I think it's because he takes such simple tools. He uses such simple tools. The right hand has the melody. The left hand plays one note at a time, but it's the harmony. So it's playing the outline of chords. And this is what all nocturnes do. but it is one of the longer ones, and all the feelings he goes into, all the different worlds, are just absolutely gorgeous. The middle section, which you will hear, you will know when it's arrived because it's marked agitato, agitated. And to me, it's as if for most of the piece, he's sitting in a sunny spot, maybe after lunch, and he's nodding off to sleep. He's daydreaming. And then in the middle section, he really does fall asleep, and he has a nightmare. And because of the way Chopin takes you into that middle section and the way he brings you out with a sudden jolt, it's as if you have awakened from a very bad dream, and then it takes a while for you to get your bearings. And it's the beginning comes back, and it's quite bittersweet the second time around. So I don't want to say too much about the piece. It was written, the Beethoven was late 1790s. This is now 1832, Paris, where Chopin spent most of his life. The piece after this is written by a friend of mine who's a jazz pianist in Asheville. And he's written many compositions. He tours with musicians, goes to Europe several times a year. Wonderful pianist, and I heard this and I liked it so much. So this is a tribute that he wrote to one of his favorite composers back in the 1970s when he was probably in graduate school, but I like it so much, so I'll play that for you all. But this journey is just into the world of expression, and I can only imagine what Chopin was feeling when he wrote this. These WC pieces mean in engravings. Estampe means stamps or engravings. And he is literally trying to depict scenes of the Far East in pagodas, no special country or place, of Granada in Spain, even though he had never been there, and a garden in a small village in Normandy besieged by a thunderstorm. It is no spring shower. Pagodas is amazing because he's depicting the bells, all the different kinds of bells that he heard in a gamelan orchestra, a Javanese gamelan orchestra. He heard one twice in Paris when he lived there. He did not travel much, so he didn't go to the Far East and he did not go to Spain. But to have captured life there and so pictorially is really amazing. He uses a lot of the pentatonic scale, which is just all the black keys. That's in pagodas. And these were written in 1903, and he was experimenting with lots of different kinds of scales and sounds. He was fascinated with sound. The other thing that amazes me about pagodas is that all these bells, this wonderful, rich resonance, he wanted to make it happen on this instrument, and it really does work. I mean, all the wood and the steel strings and all the resonance of a grand piano, it just work beautifully. The second piece is Evening in Granada, and you'll hear the habanera rhythm throughout, which you know from Carmen. Yeah. That runs throughout the piece, and that holds it together because what he's done, which is so interesting, it's like you're walking through the town and you hear guitars way off in the distance, and then you hear people laughing and dancing and singing, and then maybe you turn the corner and go down a different lane and you hear different sounds. So there's all these pieces of things coming at you while you're walking through the town. So it's wonderful. And the last piece is literally, it's a storm. So you've got wind. It's fun to play on the piano because you get to pretend like, I know this sounds silly, but it's fun to do whoosh and do all kinds of exciting things. And the tempo is not so important. You know, you can bend it. It's not as strict as you'll hear in the first two pieces. Of course, wind can't be. You know, thunder and lightning, you don't know when they're coming. So the Gardens in the Rain has a lot of surprises, and which makes it fun to play. You'll hear the sun try to come out, and it gets calmer, so you'll know when that is. And I picture the little water droplets still coming off the leaves of the trees, but the storm is not over. So it comes back, the sun tries again to come out in a much bigger way. And Debussy marks puts a French marking called éclatant, which means bursting. And I love that the sun would come out and he would use that word, bursting. Storm comes back a little bit, and then finally we end with the sun comes out. So three just incredible pieces. Just see what this composer did with new and different sounds as early as 1903. It's amazing.